Hello, welcome everyone. Today I am super excited. I think it could be one of the best episodes we will ever do. It's just going to be so fantastic. So welcome to Ben, first of all. Hi, Ben.
Hello. I mean, you got me running around on the last episode like a chicken and doing all sorts of imaginary movements. So I'm excited to see what could happen on this one.
Okay, so right, here we go. We are going to be welcoming Mr. Coach Ballgame himself, Mr. James Lowe. And I first came across Coach Ballgame on Instagram about a year ago. And honestly, he is the most incredible coach I've ever come across. The way he blends joy with sport is something special. And he doesn't just coach, he performs, he brings energy and laughter and happiness to every kid. And you can really see it. So if you are a coach or a parent, you must listen to this interview. Coach Ballgame, Mr. James Lowe, welcome, sir.
Man, oh man, I just need that introduction. I think as my ringtone on my phone, just over and over with the accent and the passion and the heart that you brought there, Kirk. Ben, honored to be here. Excited to have a nice chat.
We have something prepared for you, Coach Ballgame. If you see Coach Ballgame stuff on Instagram, and if you've actually lucky enough to be in one-to-one of the Sandlot tours, you will know about the sportsmanship salute. And my kids know about the sportsmanship salute, and they are here, and they're super excited because they want to meet you too. And this is the first time we've ever done this. You may not be able to see my kids here, but because the screen is small. But let me just go and get them for 2 minutes.
So whilst he's just going to get the kids, I can tell you he's not lying with what he said. Kirk said to me, you've got to check this guy out on Instagram.
Hello here. So this is Kaylin and Seamus. I don't know if you can see them there.
Hi, guys.
Say hi.
So good afternoon to you. Good morning to me. I'm over here in California.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah.
I've got to get up for this part, I've been told.
Right, are you ready, Coach Ballgame? Salute. Are you ready, Ben?
I'm ready.
Okay,
My wife is watching me from the sofa.
All right, come across a bit. There we go. Here we go. Eye black, mustache, beard, mullet, Brad Pitt, John Thanos, Rapunzel, Jack White, scholar, bounce back, bravery, honesty, leadership, single bicep, double bicep, triple bicep, quadruple bicep, character, integrity, kindness, energy, toughness, maturity, improvement, vulnerability, applesauce, ice cream, milk, chocolate milk, baboon milk, Wyoming milk, sportsmanship salute. That's our prize.
That is the best. Are you? Hey, attaboys to both of you. Double scholar salute to you both. That is tremendous.
I've never been so nervous practicing that, to be honest.
Are you kidding me?
I'm glad that bit's over.
You know what's funny is I put my phone up and I film things and I post things, and I don't know who watches what or what gets consumed, but the fact that the John Stamos salute is happening in England over there, that is amazing. That's going to make my week right there. That is tremendous. Elite.
Well, this is a testament to how really, what you're doing across the USA with Sandlot tours, with what you're putting out on Instagram, and the impact it's having, not just in the US, but we're in the UK. I mean, I'm in a little village just outside of Cambridge, and it's reached me.
Unreal. Yeah, it's hard to believe. It is hard to wrap my head around when I travel and go to different states and countries. And I was just in Toronto for the World Series. And the best part of it all, other than watching you with your sons do all the salutes, is, well, it's kind of attached to that, is when a dad comes up to me in Canada or
Yes.
UK and says, hey, I used to be that dad. I used to really micromanage, and I I just brought a high level of anxiety to my kids' sporting events. And when I watched your content, it kind of changed my approach. And now my kid loves the sport, and better yet, our relationship is thriving. So when I started out just thinking, oh, I'm going to teach kids how to play baseball, over time, what it has turned into is this message that transcends baseball, transcends sports, goes into the homes. And that's when you start seeing grown men, shed some tears and say, thank you. It really means a lot to my family. I never set out to do that. It just organically happened, but happy the word's getting out there. Unbelievable.
Can you tell us, because your story is amazing, and can you go right from the start and then go right up to the point
Mm.
where you started Sandlot tours and basically after someone donated you $20,000 in their will?
Well, you have done your homework. So, grew up in a small town, one horse town, we call it, in North Carolina, which is much closer to you than I am now. I now live in California, but we had a small house with a big backyard. My mom, my dad still live in that same house. I'm going to go visit them next week, actually, bring my wife and two daughters over, but had two older brothers, and they really taught me all the sports in the backyard. And we'd invite neighbors over, and we would play a sandlot game in the backyard. And we couldn't use a real baseball. It's too hard. It would break the windows. So we would use a tennis ball. And my dad built this big green wall back there as a backstop. He built a pitcher's mound. The neighbors and all our friends would come over after school every day. We couldn't hit the ball towards third base because there was a big tree there. So it really taught us to hit the ball towards center field and the opposite field. And we played every day. And we didn't just play baseball. We played basketball, horseshoes. We had a swing set back there, soccer, which you call football. We had it all. So that was my upbringing. Fast forward, I knew what was going to get me to college was baseball. Although I played American football and basketball all through high school, Brown University in Rhode Island called and said, hey, we like what you got. Come play baseball. The coolest 4 years of my life, because growing up in a small town in North Carolina to the most diverse, multicultural Ivy League school in the United States was so eye-opening. And it really opened my eyes to question everything and just consume and be curious. That's what it taught me to do, is be curious. And for one reason or another, business economics class, which all my friends were taking, did not entertain me. So what I did love was playing baseball, playing drums. I've played drums my whole life, and I loved making people laugh. And so the theater program was on the other side of campus, but I took a big swing and tried out for a play, and I got the role. And that pushed me, after college was over and my playing days were over, that pushed me to Los Angeles, California, where I was going to be the next George Clooney or the next Steven Spielberg. I wanted to create. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a writer and a director and an actor and a musician. Thankfully, my parents were awesome. And they said, you've got this Ivy League degree in economics, but we don't want you to go into a line of work that you hate. We don't want you to be miserable at 50 years old and you turn around and go, man, what was I thinking? I should have chased all my dreams. They went, go full force, head on into what you love. And then let's check back when you're 35 and see how we're doing. So that's what I did. I pounded the pavement. I auditioned for acting jobs, directing jobs, writing jobs. I was in dozens of bands as a drummer. And what I realized as I paid the bills waiting tables and other odd jobs like substitute teaching and construction work, that there was this gig my buddy, my teammate at Brown, had started. It was a role for me. It was an assistant coaching job for these summer camps, these youth baseball camps. And as I was plodding along, chasing my dreams in my 20s, the one thing that really paid the bills and the one thing other than art that made me happy was coaching kids, because I got to stay around the game of baseball and I also got to entertain. I mean, kids need to be entertained. And so with my love of music, poetry, and dressing up in different costumes, it just worked. And the kids loved the sport more because they had a coach who was having lots of fun out there. Then I got married, and my wife saw this love I had for coaching kids. She also saw this love I had for art. And she said, why don't you marry the two and go do this Coach Ballgame thing head on? And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good doing the waiting tables job and the substitute teaching job and chasing my acting dreams. And she's like, well, you should really think about it. So she pushed me into this. She gave me the shove that I needed, because I can be Mr. Happy in my comfort zone. And she thought, well, I think there's something here. And I'm glad she pushed me in that direction. And so we started our first summer camp, our first Coach Ballgame. I wasn't an assistant coach running somebody else's camp. My first camp in 2014 here in Orange County. So I moved an hour south to the biggest county in California, Orange County, and we had 8 kids show up. 6 of them were family members. So it was a small, humble beginning. But as the years passed by, I started to word of mouth got around, and our camps began to grow. And then in 2017, a family came up to me and said, my kid wants to quit baseball because it's very high pressure and there's a lot of yelling and it's getting toxic. Why don't you start your own version of a league? So I started an after school sandlot league, and after school, once a week, kids would come to a different town here in Orange County, California, and we would just play. And it was, you got to have a nickname, you got to be kind, and you got to have lots of joy. Those are the 3 rules of Sandlot. And so locally it started to grow, but we didn't have the means to take this nationally or worldwide by any means. So we just stayed right here in our Southern California nook. But there was a family that reached out. This was in 2021 when COVID was at its height. And at that time, I had went in my backyard and I was filming YouTube live PE classes for 80 straight days when the whole world was shut down and kids were at home. I said, well, I'm going to set up cameras in the backyard and do this online PE class. So I started to get a little bit of notoriety around the globe with that. This lady calls and says, hey, you don't know me. My name's Sandy. And my husband just passed away after a long fight with cancer. Before he passed, he'd watched one of your videos and he really was attracted to your message of kindness, character development, joy on a baseball field. He was a teacher and a coach for 50 years. In lieu of flowers, he said, when he passes, raise money and send it to this Coach Ballgame guy. Well, I'm on the phone listening to this and I go, this has to be a prank call. What kind of random act of kindness is this? That it can't be real. I get on the phone with her son, Matt, and Matt says, there's no catch here. This is real. What's your Venmo? $10 later. These are former students of, his name is Dave Schreckengoss, nicknamed Buppa. These are former players of Buppa because he coached baseball for 50 years and taught. They said, we don't know who you are, but we love Dave. Here's some money. Go do with it what you wish. And the family was like, there's no catch with where you should just use it as you see fit. So I talked with my wife, and it had been, my heart had been passionate. It had been beating loudly on this topic of, well, let's take what we're doing here in California around the United States. This message of common sense, joy, and character development in youth baseball. So that's what we did. With the $20,000, me, my wife, my 2 daughters, we booked a flight to Iowa, and we did a free sandlot near where the Field of Dreams is in Dyersville, Iowa. I had a friend who played football in college at Brown who was from there, and he was my boots on the ground. He helped set that up. Then I went to St. Louis, where I had friends that could set up the free sandlot there, Chicago, Pennsylvania, and we ended in the Bronx, right beside Yankee Stadium, 5 free sandlots, all because of this grant from this family, the Schreckengoss family, who I am still friends with to this day. They live in Chicago. Anytime I go to Chicago, I stay with them. But the ripple effect that Buppa had, that Dave had, where really the reason I am now on a 50 city tour every year is because of them and their random act of kindness to get this message on the roads. It gives you chills thinking about it. I love going back and recapping that story because, yeah, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are without that act of kindness from that family.
That is like an absolutely incredible story. Like, I feel like you could just end the podcast now. We don't need to discuss anything else because that's
Right.
just, it summarizes like your story's absolutely fantastic, but there's so much to pick out from that. And one of the things I was thinking at the start was like the passion that oozes out of you in terms of what you're putting out on socials. So when you talk about putting the videos out in your yard and you were streaming these PE classes, it's not surprising when you hear the story that somebody would have made that connection with you because of the way you come across in your coaching and the stuff that you're putting out. And it reminds me of when me and Kirk were in a cab in Florida. We were talking about your content and we spoke about the type of people that we want to introduce to mini athletics as we bring this across the States. And you came up because we talked about engagement and how you engage with the kids through the salute, the nicknames, how you're passionate about the sport. And I'd said to Kirk, and it's true now, I hope he's not an actor. Do you remember? In terms of, I hope it's not an
Yeah.
act. And
Yeah.
because it's one of those things you could think, well, someone's putting themselves on social media. It's an act. You've got obviously that acting background, but having spoken to you now for 20 minutes, a bit longer, I can see although you had that background, it's not an act because the passion really comes out of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I don't
It's
think it would work if it was an act. Yeah.
No, and that's the thing. It's kind of really refreshing to know that you're engaging with the kids that come to the Sandlot tours and you are you and all of the experience you've drawn from life in terms of your college days and doing the acting and your love of baseball has all been combined together because that's the type of people we're trying to find.
Right. Well, I think the funny thing is I've spent over a decade taking acting classes and memorizing lines and creating characters. And the one thing I learned from those acting classes is acting is anything but an act. You're searching for how to find the truth.
Yeah.
You're just trying to create the most honest truth in front of a camera or in front of an audience in a theater. Nobody wants to nobody wants to be fooled. They want to see honesty. So as I started to create film or TV, and there's my oldest daughter right there. She's on my screensaver. But as I started to create content on this thing, I thought, well, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to try and solve a problem with every post that I do. Because I meeting these parents who who are struggling to navigate this world of how do we
Mm.
parent in youth sports? How do we coach youth sports? And I thought, well, let me solve a problem each day. And yeah, my wife, people will ask her, is this an act? Is this really him? And she's like, trust me, this is him all the way for better or worse. But yeah, I when somebody comes and says thank you so much and you guys have been so gracious with your words, I feel like I'm the one being selfish because I get so much life from what I do. But I wrote a book on my journey and it was all about how I got to where I am. And it was all these mentors that I had to thank because I didn't start out this way. I didn't start out just attaboy. There was a learning curve, big time. And I had mentors that I wanted to thank, that helped me get there. And so I think that's another way to relate to somebody watching my feed is I wasn't always like this. You know, I struggled through it and as a rookie coach and patience was not easy for me and meeting kids on their own playing field was not easy for me, but I had some savants for mentors that showed me a better path. So yeah, it's not an act. It's who I am. And I think that's why it works.
So I don't want to make this next bit about me because it's really not, but I want to add why you and your everything that you do, everything you represent resonates with me because when I first started, I was actually a strength conditioning coach. So I was before mini athletics, I was a strength conditioning coach, worked with elite athletes and also juniors. And I would see some really terrible behavior from parents. And we're talking juniors that are very, very good at their particular sports, mostly in tennis that I worked in. And I actually grew to really hate the culture. So I was in that career for a long while and I quit. I couldn't deal with the culture anymore. So we created mini athletics. And one of the things that your story resonated with me, like I said, was yes, we talked about acting, we talked about charisma, and we talked about all these different things. But behind all of that are your values and your values as a coach. And that was what was I just felt that was really missing. We were getting these kids to play because we wanted them to win, or we wanted there was some kind of maybe story from a coach that they really really wanted to win, and it just didn't. It's just the whole culture was really wrong in sport, in youth sport. And then that's what we've tried to change through mini athletics. But watching your stuff, it's just really embodies all of that.
Yeah, I feel like the culture that you speak of and kind of got angry at is the same one it motivated me, and it got me kind of angry as well and put a chip on my shoulder. It was just incomplete to me. It felt incomplete. Maybe there were shades of what I thought youth sports needed there, but it felt lean, wasn't full bodied. So as I started to ask questions and meet more and more families, one story came up where a 7-year-old said, "Hey, Coach Ballgame, I love your summer camp, but I'm going to quit baseball." I said, "Why?" He said, my travel ball baseball coach, club ball, won't let me play soccer, won't let me play football because I got to play year round baseball to keep my spot on the team." I said, "How old are you?" He said, 7. And that
7.
7 years
Wow.
old, yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and that was a moment where I went, wow, that's got to be a one-off. That's just got to be, whether it's mental health issues or a deep-rooted trauma with that adult, that they have to say, you've got to do this thing only. Also just incredibly uneducated on the fact that if you're going to set this 7-year-old up for success when they're 16, 17, 18, they need to be well-rounded and they need to be playing multiple sports and learning different values, and not just physically, but mentally, to get them a step ahead. I wouldn't have started in college as a baseball player if I hadn't played basketball and football, learning different tools and muscles, physically and mentally. But I heard more and more of those stories coming through, and I thought there is a major problem, and it's the adults. The adults, I believe it's stemming from insecurity. I also think it's anxiety ridden, and I I fully believe that the death of youth sports is adult anxiety. I did a post maybe a year ago, and I just posed the question, "Hey parents, why do you get anxious at your kids' games?" Because I started to notice while I was doing private lessons, one version of a kid in practice was free and aggressive and talented. And then I'd watch them in the game with the umpire and the parents in the bleachers, and they looked tight and they looked tense. And then I noticed the anxiety from the parents as well. And I'm like, oh, the kid is feeding off that. And 97% of the answers, and we got tens of thousands of answers, were, I don't want to see my kid fail. I I see how hard they work, and failure just, I don't want to see them cry. I get that. And good for you for feeling that empathy. That means you're an empathetic parent, and you don't want to see them fail. But the key, the magic, is in zooming out and realizing, wait a second, allowing them to process failure and go through it, find tools to overcome failure. That might just be the greatest gift we ever give our child, because the game is never life or death. Whether it's 7-year-old, 12-year-old, even Shohei tonight playing for the Dodgers, that game's not life or death. But when you're coaching a young one, in 10 years, they might be tempted to make a bad decision, but they lean on these tools that we as coaches gave them when they were in Little League or at their youth football practice. They're going to lean on that, and they're going to go, you know what? I'm not going to make that bad decision. I'm going to process this failure in a healthy way and overcome it. That could be life or death one day. Coming at it from the lens of a life coach, way before a sports coach, coaching a person, way before I coach a player, coaching a heart, way before I coach a skill. That's the lens my mentors showed me how to do it, and I look through that lens every day. And I fail sometimes. There are moments when I go, "Ooh, I'd really like to win this game," or get this kid to the next level as far as skills go. But the priorities were backwards in that world, that culture that you said it's just toxic. It's because winning was number one, skill
Yes.
development was number two, and then the character development and the joy and all the values were at the bottom. It just makes common sense for me to flip that on its head. Character development, joy, 1 and 2, skill development and wins become a byproduct of those first two. So, um, as I preach that message on my socials, it's really important for me to meet professional athletes, like I did at the World Series just recently. And I've been putting out interviews with them and asking them the same questions. I know the answer they're going to give. It's the same answers we're providing, but that coach that wants a kid to quit at age 7 in basketball because they got to keep them on their swim team, that coach just wants to win. That coach just wants to fuel their own ego. But this isn't our journey as adults. This is the kids' journey. We got to make it about them and their journey. So, you could write many books on this topic right here, but yeah, I had the same reaction to you when that culture started to make me nauseous.
Talking about that culture, and I think I know the answer to this question with your kind of feelings so far, but I just want to touch on the fact that you've been over to the UK with your tour last year. You said you're in London.
Indeed, yeah. MLB is a
I was at that game actually.
partnership. Did you go to that game,
Yeah, I was
Phillies
at the game.
Mets?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So Major League Baseball has come on board and partnered with me. My good friend Joe Buck, who broadcast that game and broadcasts, World Series games for the last 30 years, he opened the door with MLB, and that was part of that partnership, is going over there and running a camp before that Phillies and Mets game.
And that's so important that you get to see more kids, right, across the globe. And in the
100%.
UK and the US, we talk about culture. I'm guessing parents are the same around the world. They always have the same mindset. That's kind of what it's like. Did you notice any fundamental differences in culture between kids and parents in the UK and in the US? Was there anything that you could say was different?
Well, I would flip it and say I was kind of shocked. And even when I go to Canada as well, but all over Europe, are the similarities. Parents really just want the best for their kid. And that comes out in a variety of different ways. That shows itself in micromanaging and being overbearing and making car rides miserable. But ultimately, wanting them to love the game and become better at that sport. That's what ties all the different countries together. And all the parents are vulnerable enough to say, I think I've got it wrong and I need help. I met parents in London during that trip that they weren't very educated on this game of baseball. Same with the kids, cricket and rounders, much more knowledgeable on those two. But they had this curiosity and this interest for this game of baseball. And I saw families rushing through the train station, excited to see this new world of baseball. And that's just exciting for me to see, wait, that there is a whole world out there that doesn't know about this really cool game. So that's a separate box there of just how I think the game of baseball is growing worldwide. But as far as the parents, there's no real fundamental differences. The accents are different, but the heart is exactly the same. Had a dad come up to me in Ontario just a few days ago, and he came up to me at a meet and greet. Sorry about that. Meet and greet. And he said, hey, I used to be that dad, and I have two sons, and the oldest son, he hated baseball because of me. And he also really despised quality time with me because of the way I parented him through
Mm.
baseball. I I watched one of your videos on friends you've had, stories you've seen of that kind of parenting ruining a father-son relationship. I watched it. I never cry, but I was moved to tears, and I knew exactly what I had to do. I called my son, my 11-year-old son, in, and I said, "Jump on my back. We're going to watch this video together." They watched this video that I posted together, and before the end of the video, both of them were drenched in tears. Both of them they had a moment together. And that was the moment Dad knew I needed to apologize, and I needed to make it right and say, I had this whole thing wrong. Um, that story is in every country, in every continent, and it really speaks to the impact we as coaches, all of us, have on the home life. I feel like that kid, he loves baseball now more because how his dad kind of changed his ways. But that kid wants to go fishing with dad now, wants to go camping with him, wants to have more quality time with him because the anxiety has been stripped, and there's just a bond that gets created when a dad or a mom are mature enough, maturity salute, to be vulnerable, vulnerability salute, and apologize. The apologize is super powerful. I know from personal experience, me and my daughter are most connected when she knows I'm flawed, when I've apologized for doing something, overreacting, or making something about me or being selfish. When I can go into a room and say, hey, I want to talk to you, I want to apologize. I messed up. When the Superman cape comes off, those are the moments when she's like, wow, okay, so I could have done better there too, Dad, because I'm modeling this vulnerability. The apology is super powerful. And, he was tearing up as we had that chat, and a guy that was standing next to us who didn't know either of us was tearing up. So it really is powerful. And when I go on this Sandlot tour, the highlight of the whole tour is congregating with parents afterwards. We let the kids go play kickball, and we have a chat, and we talk about all of these things. I'll give you one more story from one of those chats. This was just a month ago in Virginia. My boots on the ground there, who set the camp up, he was the president of the league, and he comes up to all the parents and he says, I want to tell you a story. My kid, who's now 17, 10 years ago, he's 7 years old. We're in the backyard, and we're working on this skill of throwing a ball. And he finally figured it out. And I said, son, you did it. The thing we've been working on so hard, you figured it out. The son runs as fast as he can and just jumps on him and hugs him and says, Dad, I'm just so thankful you're finally not disappointed in me.
Wow.
It crushed him. It crushed the dad, and he immediately starts weeping, and he goes, disappointed in you. So I'm always disappointed in you. And he said, Dad, you're not this time though. And I tell you, we all need that light bulb moment. I remember having that light bulb moment as a 23-year-old coach, my mentor, Coach Flicky, who is my best pal and travels around the globe with me. We do a podcast together. But he gave me a couple light bulb moments, and that was that light bulb moment there for that coach in Virginia. Fast forward 10 years, the kid is playing high-level baseball, loves the game. More importantly, loves hanging out with dad. So I don't think any of us are trying to sabotage our our children's sporting lives, and nobody's trying to sabotage our relationship with our kid. We need to be educated on this and be aware of the pitfalls that can come. So yeah, powerful things come when we're man enough to apologize and be vulnerable.
That's really interesting because that child there, it's fantastic that he could articulate that to his dad.
Yeah.
There are so many children that will still feel like failures that cannot articulate that.
And it's important
Eh,
for us as adults
yeah,
to create this two-way street and
yeah,
say, "Hey, what kind of fan do you need me to be for you, son?"
yes,
When you're in that big moment in that game, my daughter, how do you need me to be? You like it when I'm quiet? You like it when I'm clapping? You like me to give you a cue that's going to tip off something in your brain that to help you succeed? And they'll let you know. They'll say, I get nervous when I hear your voice, or when you teach me in the middle of a game, my head kind of goes crazy. I had a father who he knew what I loved, which was him standing behind the left field wall about 100 yards away, sitting in a lawn chair, relaxed with a Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned, keeping score and being very just happy. He would tell jokes to the players, and he would laugh at the 0 for 5. He would smile at the 5 for 5. His joy was detached from our win or my results on the field. And he knew that's when I was at my best. I love the big moment. But I
yeah,
definitely knew some of my friends whose dad was super close to the dugout, fingers were in the fence, micromanaging every move the kid made, and those kids hated the big moment. And when they got to a place in a high level college arena, all they wanted to do was quit because they were so burnt out by youth sports. So it's I can't think of a more important thing to do than what we do. Coach kids and impact families through sport. Yeah, it's special.
yeah. It's going back to my dad actually. When I played soccer quite a lot when I was little, and I wasn't that good actually, unfortunately, even though I loved it. I wasn't, but still not that good as Ben will vouch. But my dad, we used to have a little Jack Russell dog, and it was a little puppy, and my dad would just literally there's no chairs in soccer, by the way, because it's freezing cold. You don't want to be sitting down, and it's muddy. But anyway, this little Jack Russell dog, my little Jack Russell dog, he would occasionally accidentally let it on the pitch, and it was so quick that both teams had to try and dive on this dog. They had to stop the game. This would happen pretty much every week. So I just remember my dad just not saying anything, but I'm sure he probably released the dog just to relieve any tensions that was going on with other parents shouting. I'm pretty sure my dad did do that, um, but it takes me on to my next question. Is baseball is not a big game in the UK, but it should be
Right.
because it's fantastic, and as Ben has been saying, as mini athletics has been expanding into the states. I and my kids, you can see that they've got their Yankees stuff. We've been to see the Yankees, and yeah, they really love baseball. And with the whole banana ball going on, they love that, and it's really great. But they've been exposed to it, and they're lucky because they've been exposed to it. What is your advice for the UK to grow the game of baseball here? I mean, it's a completely blank canvas. What you
I
might have
know.
saw in London is really not what's going on in the UK. Nothing's really happening.
I
No,
know.
I'll add to that. My buddy is from Toronto, and we went over there when I was 10 years ago when I turned 30. We went and watched a Blue Jays game. Only time I've ever really watched baseball live, but he lives just down the road from me, and he keeps saying to me, come and play baseball, come and play baseball. Obviously, commitments and stuff get in the way, but to put it into perspective, what Kirk's saying, I'm in the Midlands in the UK, not too far from London. For him to play baseball, he's doing 50, 60, 70-mile drives around the country to play other teams of men and women.
There's no
That's
kids baseball though, is there?
There's
There's
no
no
kids
kids.
baseball, but even adult baseball, there's very little of it.
Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to hear your answer to that question at Coach.
I
But
love it. Well, I think we together, the three of us, need to set up a few Coach Ballgame sandlots in 2026, and because I don't think people understand that something exists until they see it in person.
yeah,
But what we've done with Major League Baseball, with the camps that I run with them, and with my Sandlot tour, a la the Savannah Bananas, is we make it extremely accessible for kids. You have to let them know you don't need 4 bats. You don't need a real baseball field. You don't need a helmet. You don't even need a glove. These kids that grow up in the Dominican Republic, half of them become Major League Baseball stars. They're using a branch from a tree for a bat, a lemon for a ball, trash for bases. So what I do, what the Savannah Bananas do, what we do with MLB at all of our play ball camps is we take anything boring about the game and we throw it in the trash. And we say, okay, let's get like a foam bat and a foam ball, and let's get kids divided up into 2 teams, and let's make the game move. And we really teach through playing. And all you need is you need 4 pillows, basically, home, first, second, and third. And you tell the kids, hey, this is rounders, but there's a 4 to score a point. You got to come all the way back to where you started, and that's a home run, or that's how you score a run. But everything else is the same. And with this foam ball, you can. A lot of times I'll play a baseball game with a kickball or a volleyball, and I'll toss the volleyball and they'll hit it with a bat. And I'll say, hey, kids, you can tag the runner or you can peg the runner. But honestly, I feel like if you just give kids 1 bat, you put 4 bases down and you grab a soccer ball, you say, hey, instead of kicking this thing like kickball, is kickball a big thing over there? By the way, where you kick it and then you run the bases? I think you start with that then if it's not very big, because that's how I teach my 5-year-olds how to play baseball, because they're not quite ready with the motor skills to hit a ball with a bat. So let's play baseball with our foot, kick the ball, and then run the bases. And there's another team out there, a defensive team, that's fetching the ball and trying to tag you out. Or you can peg the runner. You can throw the ball and try and hit them with it, and they're trying to dodge the ball. But that's how I run my camps. And it's very engaging for these kids who have never played, because it's a mixture of soccer, it's a mixture of kickball, but you're teaching all the important elements of the game of baseball and softball with young girls as well. As you hit it, and then you don't run towards the ball, you run to this pillow, which is over here, and that's called first base. And then you're trying to get all the way around the pillows before the other team tags you.
I
And
love the
there you go.
regression there. The regression's amazing, because if you were to play, baseball as we see it on the TV straight from the bat, then there could be quite a lot of standing around while you wait for me to try and hit the ball 3 times, which I'm never going to
Absolutely.
hit. So,
I I feel like kids fall in love with something if they know the coach cares about them and is connected with them
yeah,
as a human, and if
yeah,
they're moving. So
yes.
all of my Sandlot games, they really move. It's a very fast pace. I want a ball put in play every 10, 15 seconds. That way you've got kids learning how to cover bases, learning how to move, and learning the rules of the game that way. So what I would do is, we would set up a couple of Sandlot camps in different towns there in the UK. And we would probably either use foam balls or tennis balls or a volleyball or a soccer ball. And we would teach the game that way. And what I noticed with first time kids is when they hit the ball, they run towards the ball, because that's what you do in basketball. That's what you do in soccer. Football, you're running towards the ball. In all other sports, tennis. But in baseball, you hit it and then you run away from the ball. You run to this arbitrary pillow over here called first base. So yeah, you have to make it accessible, and all the rules of baseball that you think apply, foul lines and dugouts and real fields. No, you don't need that. You need 1 stick, you need 1 lemon and a couple of old newspapers.
Well, it's that key thing, isn't it? Like, your word that is key is engagement. And I think it's really important that you've got to find some way to engage all of the children, not just one child. You've got boys turning up, you've got girls turning up, you've got children that are introvert, extrovert. You need to make sure that every child is engaged. And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's regressing it right back to the basics, as you say, but you're trying to create that engagement so you haven't got hesitancy with not only the kids, but also the parents that are bringing them to those tours.
Yeah, and it's a trust that has to be built before you teach any skills of the
Yeah.
game. And that's why I come up with nicknames for each kid. I tell every coach I ever meet, before you teach the first thing about the game, bring the whole group together, have them sit crisscross applesauce with you and go around and come up with nicknames for each person. Like Kirk, your two sons, what do they love to do? What do they love to eat? What's their favorite animal? Paint a picture of who you are with your nickname. So you're really asking them questions about who they are, and then you come up with a nickname based off of that. And there's trust built there. And where there's trust, there's learning. There's no significant learning that happens without a personal connection built first. So having this trust built with these kids, then they go, oh, this isn't somebody in the military just force feeding baseball knowledge down my throat. This is an adult who cares about me as a human and is curious about my life. I trust them. And then when I need to challenge them to try something new or listen better, behave, they respond in a healthy way, all because of that trust. So when people ask me, how do you engage so many kids at once? I say, well, it's the trust that was built first. That's
You may have noticed I put my hand to my face when you were saying about the nicknames, because I think I know what Kirk's probably going to be doing in a minute. He's gonna be making a request for a
So,
nickname
yeah,
or two.
we are coming towards the end of the podcast. Love to speak to you all day, but I presume that you've got other things to do. And also, my mouth is hurting so much with smiling for the past 50 minutes.
well,
It's
Coach
been unbelievable.
Smiley. We got Coach Smiley in the works.
Okay, because that was going to be my last question. Do you have a nickname for us? I mean, I'm happy with Coach Smiley. That's fine with me.
And here's what people don't realize is, they think I just see somebody and give them a nickname. No, it's got to be you that stews this thing up. You're going to cook this nickname up for yourself. And I always tell, I don't say it to kids, but I tell the adults, because all the coaches have to have nicknames too. I say, paint a picture of your soul with your nickname. So, Kirk, what deep down, what is your favorite thing in the world? And I know you'd probably say your kids or your
Yeah,
family, but
yeah.
let's be selfish for a minute and maybe even the 12-year-old Kirk. What do you love deep down?
Ben, we have to come to you first, I think, because
Oh,
Yeah,
he's throwing me under the bus. I know. So my favorite things, I love running, I love athletics. If I'm being selfish, I love pizza. I like
love it,
chocolates. I like sweets.
man.
I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Yeah,
I've
me
got to say
neither.
my wife, because she's sat over there because we're on holiday at the moment. I like having fun. But yeah, that's me really. Fun, pizza, running, athletics, relaxing. Do what you can with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, man. I, there's a lot to work with there. So usually I'll say, okay, so you've given yourself a few options. You obviously got Coach Chocolate, you got Coach Pizza Man, you got Coach Joy. Like you love having fun. I would say it feels like the fun vibe is definitely that's what screams off the page with you. Do you have a specific fun thing you like to do, whether with your wife or
Just high energy. Just try and be energy. That's the thing. So
Coach? Yeah, Coach Energy, Coach
I like the pizza. I like the pizza way.
yeah,
I think we'll go with
Coach Pizza Man.
Coach Pizza Man. Let's do that.
always
Is that a
delivered.
stick?
If you wanted to go with the food route, we go Coach Pizza Man. But if you wanted to go the energy route, maybe we go Coach Heartbeat. You bring in the heartbeat.
I'm
Beats pretty
going.
strong.
I'm going with Coach Heartbeat. It sounds better.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Anytime somebody says, "Oh, Coach Ballgame, you're bringing the energy," I'm like, "Yeah, I'm bringing the heartbeat."
Have I got permission to change my Instagram handle to Coach Heartbeat?
Deal. There you go. But the secret, and people ask me like, how do you memorize all the nicknames? Well, it starts there. It starts with like a 1 minute kind of we're digging to find it, and then something about your brain when you dig. Like when I'm playing the drums, if I'm trying to memorize a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus and how we end, like there needs to be some digging and some really, you know, clawing and prying to find it. So we clawed and pried, and we got to heartbeat after pizza and chocolate and everything. So it stays in your brain a little more, and then you repeat it. Then I'll have kids line up at home plate, or line up if you're playing soccer, football, basketball, whatever sport. You line them up and you have them run somewhere. But you're saying, "What was your nickname?" Oh, heartbeat. Okay, go. And then the repetition just dials it in. Kirk, your turn.
So I follow a football team called Nottingham Forest,
They're not
um,
very good.
a soccer team, right? And I also love running. So there's got to be something Forrest Gump related there.
Wow. I mean, just call you Coach Forrest Gump. I
There we
mean,
go. Yeah,
Coach Forrest Gump, I love running.
yeah. That's
Coach,
great.
Coach Trees.
Trees. I mean, yeah. Coach Forrest Gump sure paints a clear picture, but trees, do you love trees? Do you love tree houses? No?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
Did
I
he
grew
say
out of
Coach
that.
Trees? I would say nicknames sound better with 2 syllables. So if you did love trees, I'd probably call you Treehouse.
I think we're going to go with Treehouse. That'll do.
I see it. Forrest. Now I get it. The connection of Forrest Gump.
Yeah. And the running.
And the running. Yeah, I love running. I mean, yeah, Coach Forrest Gump and Coach Heartbeat, that might be it. That's clear.
We're super happy with that.
I
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
love
it.
it.
I love it.
I love it.
So I'm just going to wrap this up. Unfortunately, Coach Ballgame, just go go and follow him on Instagram. Go to one if you're lucky enough to go to one of the Sandlot tours. Go, travel, go.
Is there anything in the pipeline on that with the UK? Are we allowed? Is there any spoilers there or not?
No spoilers. I go to places where we have strong boots on the ground, and it seems like you do have strong footing there, where you provide a big enough space, and you could send out an email, and kids would be excited. I'm not as famous as, the Spice Girls or anything. So it's not like I could just say, I'm going to London, and we know we would get hundreds of kids. Like I find leagues and presidents of leagues that see the value in what I'm bringing, is not just for the kids, but really for the adults, and changing the culture of how to parent in that community, how to coach kids, because I treat it as more of a traveling coaches clinic than anything. They happen to be watching me work with these kids. So yeah, I have no specifics, but if you know anybody that wants to be that host, then all you got to do is email the queen of our Sandlot tour. Her name is Shayna. I work closely with her each week as we dial in 26 schedule. info@coachballgame.com. You email her, she'll send you the contract. And yeah, I told her 2026 needs to be a European tour year. Enough is enough. So here's to making that happen.
Let's do it. Unbelievable. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, James. It's been fantastic.
Super fun. I'm glad it happened. And let's do it again.